Has a bit of time now being chased. Plants throws. He's looking downfield. He's got a receiver. And it is caught. Jimmy Smith at the 5. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville. He gets Wayne Starks for 45 yards.
Barks out for signals. Drops to throw. Has time. Fires the slant. Jimmy's got it this time. 35, 30. Middle of the field. 20. He's going to the 20-yard line. He's going to score. 10, 5. Jimmy Smith. Touchdown. And the Jaguars are right back in this ball game. Barks out the signals. Pressure coming. Steps up. Steps. Turns. Throws. He's got Jimmy. First down. 20. There he goes. 10, 5. Touchdown. Win. Jacksonville. Done under pressure. Steps to avoid. Turns and throws. He's got him in. Caught Jimmy inside the 40-yard line to the 37 and down to the 36.
Congratulations to Jimmy Smith. That is now his 800th career reception, and what a play to get it on.
This team winning right now, it helps bring so much attention to our franchise, what we did back in the day, like we were talking about, these Hall of Fame conversations. But when we're winning, we see the conversations pick up. So we have noticed that. So obviously, I'm pulling for my team to get to this Super Bowl.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome in. Jaguars Today off and rolling on this Thursday. Yesterday, focused on the NFL draft. Today, more of a focus on filling the coaching hole that currently the Jacksonville Jaguars have after letting Doug Peterson go last week. Good morning, Tony. How are you?
Doing well.
What have you done in the last day to make the Jaguars better?
Not a thing.
Nothing?
No.
All right. I checked out a few new potential mock draft sites over the last 24 hours or so. Not saying that makes the Jags better, but it made me happy, at least to have some options out there. Dylan Denmark, what about yourself? You selling any Girl Scout cookies at the homestead?
No, sir.
Somebody hit Dylan up on his ring cam.
Yeah, this was a couple months ago.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
And somebody in your neighborhood had
my neighbor sells Girl Scout
out.
cookies, and there's a sign out in my front yard, and because it's a busy intersection, and some random dude at about 11 a.m. I was doing the show. I get a notification someone's at my door, and he goes, "Hey, who got them Girl Scout cookies?" And he just went on and gave me his phone number, and he ended up getting his Girl Scout cookies, which was pretty good for him.
Did you call him, or did you pass the number along?
I gave the number along.
All right.
To my neighbor.
Well, either way, nice of you to help out, but now he might associate you with Girl Scout cookies. He may come back to your house in future times. By the way, I'll be the one to say I've tried plenty of cookies in my life, Tony. No surprise. I think Girl Scout cookies are mostly overrated. I've said it. And
how many flavors are there? Because I only like 2.
I don't know. They're like
a dozen.
I don't know how many. Maybe.
It's like Oreos now. It's like you have a different flavor Oreo.
Yeah, everyone loves the Thin Mints. I think they're okay.
You got to put them in the fridge.
Well, you got to put. I put all cookies and stuff like that in the fridge, man. Okay. Cookies, brownies, whatever the case may be. I don't care if you sell it at room temperature. It was going in the fridge when you get to my house. Not buying as many cookies and brownies these days, fortunately. But regardless. Anyway.
Well, I only ever got the Samoas or the Thin Mints. That was it.
Yeah, that's usually what I get, too. The Samoas, are those the ones with the, I can't
coconut.
Remember. The coconut. They're okay, but they're not like I don't know, just I love coconut. They don't do it for me as much. You like Girl Scout cookies? Eat your Girl Scout cookies. I'm not trying to get you to stop buying Girl Scout cookies. Do whatever you like. Hicken brought it up this morning, and then Dylan shared a video with us, so I thought I'd mention that. Today, we're going to talk about candidates other than Ben Johnson. Still think he's on the table, potentially, Tony, until he agrees to go somewhere, until we hear otherwise, and the Jags announce a head coach. I'm going to presume that he has not taken his name out of the running. But let's say you can't get Ben Johnson. And there's a good chance you might not, right? A lot of people think he's going to the Raiders now with Tom Brady. Good luck, by the way, in that division. I mean, that's a guy with a lot of confidence with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and now the up-and-coming Bo Nix in the division. You've got none of that. And so we'll see how that works out for you. But regardless, maybe Ben Johnson goes to Chicago because he covets Caleb Williams and he likes their GM situation better than ours. Yeah. I don't know. But if he's off the board, I went with the 4 guys who drew the most votes when we did our Name Your Top 3 candidates last week. The 4 that got the most votes, not necessarily for the top choice. So alphabetically, Joe Brady, he actually got more than Robert Saleh, although Saleh seems like, I don't know if there's more momentum or what. It just seems that way, maybe because he is interviewed now with the Jags. Joe Brady, as far as I know, yet to schedule an interview. I think Todd Monken's supposed to interview with the Jags today, virtually, as the Ravens are still in it. But Brady, Liam Cohen, who's also interviewed with the Jags now, Aaron Glenn, Robert Saleh. Those were the top 4 most popular candidates, not named Ben Johnson. So if you can only pick one and it's not Johnson, who is the apple of your eye? To discuss that with us today, among other things, Hayes Carline of the Frangie Show, Jaguars embedded reporter from 1010XL, coming up in about 30 minutes. And then the second hour, Brian Sexton, a longtime voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars, will join us to break down his thoughts on the offseason. So you probably saw this happen, Tony. This thought may have crossed your mind as well, that we're just not playing on the same level as some other NFL teams, right? And maybe you could say that for most teams because the Ravens don't exactly have a high waiver priority.
No.
Right? But Deontay Johnson, who's bounced all over the damn NFL, including a stint with Baltimore this year, and apparently his disgruntledness, right, if that's a proper use of the word, disgruntled attitude, has got him kicked the hell out. They said this week he caught one pass. He played like 15 out of 70 snaps for the Texans. And he was sitting there. Remember the Reggie Williams preseason incident, right? Tony and I went to see the Jags play Miami. Reggie barely got on the field, barely got a look that day. In the preseason, this was. There was a lot of talk that Reggie might get cut by the team. And I think that was the preseason. Then he went to Green Bay, or they played Green Bay, and he made that big catch, took the big hit.
Got absolutely smashed. It was the next week because we were in there, and I had mentioned it while the game was going. I was like, Reggie's been wide open on both of these plays.
And they're not even – he's not even like part of the read. Purposely not looking at him is what it felt like.
It's not even part of the read. And we went in the locker room after that game, and all the other guys are getting ready to go, and Reggie's still in his uniform. Like
full uniform.
Holding his head in his hands.
Right.
Like it was wild.
It really was. But apparently Deontay Johnson pulled something to that effect this week. Sat there in full uniform, just letting it be known he was dissatisfied. So the Texans are like, the hell with this, man. Your one catch for 10 yards ain't worth it. Get the hell out of here.
Right.
So the Ravens claim him on waivers. Wait a minute. They already released him. Well, and then find out, well, because he was let go in the postseason and got picked up, he's not eligible to play in the postseason for anyone else. And so
they didn't let him clear waivers to pick him up as a free agent, which maybe could they play him in that circumstance?
Possibly.
Like, I don't know exactly how that works, but the circumstance they picked him up on, they can't even play him.
They can't play him, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, well, that is odd. Then you realize, once he then is eligible to go to the roster, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what his market's going to be because he's proven himself to be a pain in the neck,
years,
right? But if he signs with somebody, you potentially get a compensatory draft pick, or at least he's added to the losses that you incur in free agency that may or may not be offset by the additions that you make in free agency. And he may ultimately, maybe it's a 7th-round pick, but it's a free 7th-round pick. Here's the thing. If you get nothing, you invested nothing.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay him a dime. Where's Trent Baalke on a move like that? Now you can say that about most GMs around the league because most of them passed on Deontay Johnson. But they're thinking way outside the box in Baltimore. It is why, in part, they've had the most compensatory picks since they came into the league, since compensatory picks became a thing in the 90s. They have the most of any team.
Mm-hmm.
And they've, drafted a handful of key contributors over the years from those compensatory picks. But either way, it's free draft capital, man. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. They're playing on, they're playing chess, and many others are playing checkers, including right here.
Seems that way.
I mean, all you got to put in a claim for the guy. Never going to have to play him. Never going to have to pay him. Never going to infect your locker room with that attitude. They already knew what they're getting in terms of the attitude. They've made trades over the years like that, Tone, where they trade for a guy on an expiring contract, and you're like, what are they getting out of this? And then they turn around and they get a better pick than what they gave up for that guy because they know he's going to leave and somebody's going to give him a contract. And it's been a pretty good gaming of the system, quite frankly. It's just taking advantage at the margins. And that sometimes is where, games are won and lost in the margins, seasons, franchises putting themselves above others because they do the little things consistently. Love to have the Jags be accused of gamesmanship and gaming the system. Wouldn't that be fantastic? I'm not even mad at them. I think it's really, really smart. Might amount to nothing, But it costs you absolutely nothing other than sending in the request. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's simple. So
3 teams this year for Deontay Johnson. By the way, looking at him right now on Pro Football Reference, he was a second-team All-Pro as a rookie there with Pittsburgh as a punt returner.
All-Pro.
All-Pro, yeah.
As
So it
punt
wasn't wide receiver, but second-team All-Pro punt returner as a rookie. He was a Pro Bowler his third year in the league. Had 107 catches, 1161, and 8 touchdowns that season for Pittsburgh. And, played 5 years there. And then this season, it's been what it's been. 3 different teams. He was catching about 4.5 passes a week with Carolina for the first 2 months of the season, but since then he's caught 3.
Yeah, I think he felt like he should have been like a 110-catch receiver. Should have been the focal point of that offense. And, you could argue that he was the most talented receiver there, but again, are you that good? Like, Justin Jefferson could probably get away with this because he's that good, and still have a robust market. I'm not saying that he's like that at all. By the way, Justin Jefferson made some comments this week. They asked him about it. He's like, look, man, I signed a contract. I'm here. I'm going to be here for the duration of it. I'm not thinking about, worried about the quarterback situation. We'll get it figured out. I'm paraphrasing what he had to say, but I was like, good for Justin Jefferson, man, for, not being just the straight diva. Here's the team that ponied up the $30+ million a year for you, and you're actually seemingly kind of grateful for the opportunity to do it. So,
Sure.
Maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but that's the way I interpreted some of his comments. So, got an interesting draft what if. At least I think it's interesting, a hypothetical that we'll get into in the next segment coming up. As I mentioned, Hayes Carline will join us to talk coaching search and everything else going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars, where they need to improve. Same deal with Brian Sexton next hour. If you want to be a part of the program, 641-1010 on the Garber Automall phone lines or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. You can hit us up in the YouTube virtual studio chat, or you can hit us up on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
Direct all of your Girl Scout cookie requests at 1010XL Denmark.
No.
Please. He will pass your information along to the proper people. I'm sure that lady who is selling those cookies for her daughter in the neighborhood.
I don't know if she's selling them right now. I don't think they're in season.
Whatever. I'm just saying, man. I mean, no sense waiting until the last minute. Get your list curated, Dylan, so you can just hand it to her when Girl Scout cookie season comes along.
I better be getting an agent fee for this.
Well, I'm your agent. I don't know what you are. You're the facilitator.
I'm the middleman.
We're all. I just want a slice of your slice. Is all I want. Just a
percent of the percent.
A percent of the percent is all I want. I really don't expect anything because we're really just talking out of our backside right now, quite frankly. All right. So I think we've laid it out there for you. What's on tap for today? So let's get rolling. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Lickety Split. You have AC issues? Lickety Split will be on top of them in no time, fast. How about your home's plumbing and electrical, too? Lickety Split can handle all that with same-day emergency service. I bet you've seen their trucks all over town with dozens of certified technicians ready to repair all of your home's AC, plumbing, and electrical issues. They're out there. They're qualified. They're ready to go. They get a 4.8 average on Google reviews. You'll find them online at licketysplitfl.com. That's Lickety Split.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Tensions build.
3rd and 12. Let's go.
Plot thickens.
We got to get off the field.
Crowds roar. Tune in and let the show begin. Your home for live play-by-play is 1010XL.
These are interesting economic times. That's why it's so important to have someone you can count on. That's ITP Partners. Jacksonville folks taking care of our Jacksonville money. Experience? You best believe you want to give your hard-earned money to folks you trust. Jeff Hartman, Chris Bryan, Dan Abel, Reed Wingate, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reagan Wright have the expertise and knowledge to help clients in their financial lives, focusing on investment management, financial planning, and risk management. ITP Partners. Financial partners for life. Securities offered through American Portfolios Financial Services, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC.
Jacksonville. When AEW returns home, it is the biggest party in all of professional wrestling.
Daily's Place, the home of AEW.
And on Saturday, January 25th, Collision returns live. It's a new year and a whole new era in AEW. And there's no better time to experience the excitement than right now. AEW Collision
When you head out for a night with friends or going to the big game, don't forget the best game plan to win the night is to designate a driver and guarantee a safe ride home. Hydrating between buds is the best play you can make. Bud Light, reminding all to drink wiser.
You're locked in to Jaguars Today Thursday with
Cannons of Jacksonville.
Joe C. for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite Roofing contractor lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjax.com.
Start your week with a Hall of Fame breakfast.
Wow, I'm hungry. How about you?
Join Dan Hicken, Jeff Prosser, and Jags Hall of Famer Tony Bazzelli for tons of football talk. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida. Monday mornings at 7:20 on 1010XL.
Ready, aim, inspire at the 7th Annual Mackenzie Noel Wilson Foundation Clay Shoot, Thursday, February 20th at Jack's Clay Target Sports. Hi, I'm Paul Martinez, President of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida. We've got you covered. Ammo, carts, clays, delicious food, and amazing prizes. Whether you're a sharpshooter or just in it for fun, this event is for you. Support the important work of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida and Mackenzie's Camp Deep Pond. Sign up at bgcnf.org/events.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gate store anywhere around Duval and make yours a dandy, and do it today.
From one sports fan to another, this is Andrew Gibson with 1010XL. And now is the time to order your Valentine's flowers from Kuhn Flowers. Do it today, and you won't be scrambling at the last minute. KuhnFlowers.com.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the chairman of Underwoods. With Christmas behind us in 2025 here, the last thing you want to hear is somebody trying to sell you something. That's why at Underwoods, we'd like to just stop and say thank you to all the people that came in our stores over the last year. Whether you bought from us or not, we want to thank you for coming by and giving us the chance to help. You know, in North Florida, there are a lot of people trying to sell you jewelry. But at Underwoods, we consider it an honor for somebody to come in and just give us that chance to help. And if we do a good job, we might get a chance to serve again. Having served North Florida since 1928, all of us here understand what a customer really gives us during that visit to Underwoods, their trust. And it's up to us to do everything we can to keep it. So on behalf of everybody on the Underwood team, thanks again for coming into our stores. And we wish each of you a Happy New Year.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise in towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjax.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Start your new year off healthy and get screened at Ackerman Urology for common cancers of the prostate, bladder, and kidney. Early detection is key with 5 locations across Northeast Florida. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Ring in the new year with a new boat. Don't miss the Jacksonville Boat Show, January 24th, 25th, and 26th at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. Presented by ViStar Credit Union. Tickets at boatjacks.com. Come buy a boat.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
You know, there's a lot of weird stuff out there on social media, Tony, always. Yeah, like Tom McManus posted something yesterday. I saw his follow-up a few hours later because he was busy, and he posted something, I think it was yesterday, and he said something to the effect of, I told you, and now you're not going to like it, or whatever it is. And people were like, why are you being cryptic? What does this have to do with bulky, or whatever, you know? And then, like, Tom's like, no, he was talking specifically to one individual who was basically harassing him or whatever. And so, you know, I see a lot of people claiming, oh, big secret coming. Can't tell you. I know what it is, but I can't tell you now. You don't know what it is, or if there is a big secret coming. I firmly believe that with most people out there. People just lie through their teeth constantly on there. Dylan was saying how he had seen some communications from somebody out there saying, look, I got an inside track, and this is what's really happening. And like, here's the thing, you just can't believe anything. I can't take, unless I personally know the person and know they're in position to know.
Yeah.
You can't take people's word for anything these days.
No, but I do like some conspiracy theories, though.
Oh, good. Conspiracy theories are great.
I love a good conspiracy theory.
They are. And
Or
some
a
of them
couple
even
six
make
of
sense,
Yes.
right? But that doesn't mean I think that some random person has the keys to the Jaguars front office or the flat earth.
Right.
You know, society. They're hiding it from us, but I know the truth.
We're currently in a situation where you can make a pretty compelling argument for any of the 6 names that are still out there to be the next head coach for the Jags. And if you put it the way you want to put it, where this is definitely what's going to happen, this is what I've heard is the reaction in the interview, like all these kind of different things, some people be like, definitely, that's it. That's where it's going to land. That's what's going to happen. And every time we go through this process, it works out exactly like this. People are freaking out. Whatever little bit of information comes out, it's like, I don't know where that information's coming from. I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of that means. But I was also the kid that never had to open my presents before Christmas morning. I don't need to know beforehand what it is. It'll be whatever it's going to be, right? They're going to hire somebody. I'm following the process of them getting to whatever's going to happen with them hiring whoever they're going to hire. But I'm not all that anxious about any bit of news that may come out right now. I understand that fans can be. I'm just not in that boat at all.
I'm just saying, if you're surprised, like people hit us up anonymously on the text line or whatever and say, this is the thing, trust me, I know this because this. I can't take your word for it.
No.
Just cannot take your word for it.
I can't tell you how many of those reports we got about Bortles on Fridays and Saturday nights before games.
Always.
Right? Like it was every week. Some of you, I saw, it's like.
I was partying with Blake till 7 in the morning.
I don't know you, man.
Right.
Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Maybe some of it's true, maybe some of it's not true. Right, but I'm not going to run with, some vague word of mouth kind of thing. And I'm different than you. I do like I don't want to wait. I want to, read the tea leaves. If there are legitimate tea leaves out there.
It's hard to figure out which ones are legit.
But people, you can make the statement, well, the Jags are going to decide between this guy and this guy. Well, those are the odds-on favorites according to what everybody says. So, okay.
They're going to be choosing among the guys.
Of guessing right, right? That's why I said about the whole coaching front office, who would get hired, who would get fired. Nobody knows. Some people are going to guess right, and then they're going to claim they knew all along. Because most of the people were saying they're both gone or they're both back. Well, clearly, none of them knew anything.
No.
Because they weren't. It wasn't like that. And I'm not claiming I knew better than anybody else. It's just a phenomena that, as we were talking about off the air, it's like how some woman can convince herself that she's in a relationship with Brad Pitt.
Oh, yeah.
And that Brad Pitt needs her money because his bank accounts are tied up due to the divorce with Angelina. Like, what?
Love you some good AI.
My gosh, man. I mean,
like, I don't know what's going on with his bank reports, but I doubt he needs that woman's money.
I'm guessing no.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm in the hospital, I'm dying, and you, random internet stranger who I love you, and I'll marry you.
Right. His next movie, you may be like, does he need money? Like, that may be how that whole thing works out, but it's not going to be because that lady needs to send it.
Anyway, going a little off on a tangent here, but I thought about this, okay? Deion Sanders has moved to be the betting favorite to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Doesn't mean he will be, but that's how markets work. They're trying to draw bets on either side and blah, 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 right?
Sure.
He's a hot name. So let's say Deion gets the job. And the Dallas Cowboys make no bones about it and come out and say, look, we fully intend for whatever. Forget about Dak for a minute, all right? This is a hypothetical, okay? Dak they're going to move on from Dak somehow, whatever, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But if they come out and say, Shedeur Sanders is going to be our quarterback.
Name your price, league.
Yeah. And then they say, well, no, here's the thing. We're not going to pay a dime to move up to get him.
Okay. You're going to play that game. Yeah.
Anyone who takes him is throwing their pick away because Shedeur's got his own money from NIL. Deion's got plenty of family money. We'll do whatever, but he is not going to play for you if you take him before the 12th pick in the draft. Would it work?
I don't.
I mean, what team's going to blink and go, I'm potentially throwing away a top 10 pick here?
Yeah, that'd be tough. It depends how much do you hate Dallas. That could certainly be a factor in it.
Now, look, you may draft him, and then somewhere down the line they go, well, what can we give you for his rights?
Yeah.
So maybe you get, but you're not getting the guy that you're drafting necessarily in that scenario. Yeah. I think it might work just because of the extreme personalities involved in this. I don't think every prospect could pull that off because it would turn a lot of people off. But he doesn't care about turning people off because his dad's one of the head coaches at this point.
We went through it with Trevor Lawrence, people saying he's not going to go to Jacksonville.
Correct.
He's definitely, and it's like, come on. Like, that's not realistic. And nothing that I've seen from him makes me think that was ever a possibility. It was kind of a deal with Caleb last year too, right? Like Chicago, does he want to go? It's like, relax, guys. Like, he hadn't said anything to make you think that his personality is, I'm not going to play for you because I want to land at X, right? There's no hint of that except your thought that I don't think he should wind up there.
And it was mostly outside of this market going, looking down a little old Jacksonville. Why would he choose to play there?
And often the team that winds up as the number one pick is not in the same position as Chicago. Chicago wasn't bad enough to be the number one pick. Carolina was, but they weren't picking number one because they gave up the rights to that pick earlier, right? So generally the team that's picking first is because they were the worst team in football. Right, the year before. That's why they're picking first in the NFL. So a lot of people look at it and say, why would anyone want to go to the worst team in football? It's like, well, it's not about what they want. The team that has the right of the first pick gets to choose a player that's available to them. That's how the NFL has always worked. But, the money in college football right now is the biggest threat to that system that it's ever faced. Right, there are kids that have money when they're coming into the league that they can demand more because of that kind of thing.
You got $5 million in your pocket. It's different, man.
The access of you're the worst team in the league. Now we have the opportunity to draft what we think is the best player in the draft has never been more at risk than it is right now because of what's happening in college football.
Right, and while the NFL system is this way now, well, the college system was its own way for
no doubt
decades upon decades.
Over 100 years.
Right, and then it changed.
Right?
And, look, I'm not calling. I like the system now because it does reward the bad teams. And unfortunately, the Jaguars are usually among the bad teams. And I don't want them to get skipped over in the process in some free-for-all type scenario. But, like Florio has been agitating for this forever. There needs to be a class action lawsuit to challenge the draft, and why should I be beholden like any other industry? And that argument is a pretty decent one. Like,
not bad.
If you are a computer engineer, IBM doesn't draft you, right? You may choose to go work for them. You may choose to go work for Apple or whomever, but they don't say, well, you're going to work for Microsoft and you're going to do it in this city for the next 4 years if you want to work in this industry.
Right.
So it is an interesting thing. I wonder, I don't know if it'll come to that. I don't know if they're going to hire him or not. But I've been thinking about that. Now, look, again, there are complications because they did just pay Dak Prescott a ton of money.
They did.
So I'm just trying to, the hypothetical of that, being a scenario where they just said, look, don't bother. Do not bother. You're throwing away your pick. And I'm telling you, I'm his dad. I know it's a weird dynamic.
Don't you think the NFL would step in at some point and talk to Jerry Jones and be like, if there's any truth to this, like, this can't happen.
Why?
Like,
what rule does it
I don't
violate?
know, but I feel like the NFL would step in and do something.
What if it comes from Shedeur Sanders? What if he, like they all get together, but nobody makes a public statement except him, and he just goes, look, I'm just telling you, if anybody picks me before the 12th pick and the Cowboys at least have a chance to select me, I'm not signing with you. They can't stop that.
We never found out if Eli would have been willing to play in San Diego.
Right.
We never really found out the answer to that question because it was answered an hour later in the draft.
They got traded
whatever leverage he had, he spent, and it got him to New York, right? Like, that's how that whole situation played out, is the Giants took Phillip Rivers and they traded it back, right? Like, that's the way that situation wound up playing out, so you never really got the true test. We saw it with Bo Jackson, though, and we saw it with John Elway.
Right.
They had other options.
They had other sports as options.
But now you have players coming in that have money in their pocket.
Right. They don't need
the option.
They go train for a year, do whatever they want for a year.
So me thinking it with Trevor Lawrence and some of these other guys that it's been kind of silly, I think given certain personalities and the money they already got, it's a much more realistic possibility than it's been.
All right. Just food for thought out there. Let's discuss Jaguar offseason issues with Hayes Carline of the Franchise Show. He joins us next. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pellet Windows and Doors. Love them. Have them in my house. Replaced all my windows, my sliding glass door. My house is more energy efficient. It looks fantastic. And I'm just happy that I went with the best in the business. I didn't have to think about it. Consumer Reports told me they're the #1 company in all the major window categories. But my own experience backs that up. And I'm telling you, you'll have the same experience I did. Free consultations available at PellaJacks.com, or stop by their showroom on Phillips Highway and let their professional design consultants guide you through your entire project from start to finish. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
I guess they just don't make them like they used to, huh? No! Nobody ever made them like this.
This is 1010XL.
This is it. This is definitely it.
Jaguars Today for the renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Rev up your life with luxury at Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard. Right now, used car prices are 12% lower than their peak in April of 2022, making this the perfect time to drive home in a dream car. Specializing in luxury used vehicles, offering you elegance at prices that are finally coming back down to earth. See special listings in the newspaper every Saturday or online at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at over $2,600 per ounce. Pay bills. Buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Jaguars Today Thursday, brought to you by Cannons of Jacksonville.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a walk-in closet that's not only beautiful, but also incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 800-293-3744. Hey, and if you mention Mia or Helmets and Heels, you'll qualify for free base molding. Call today or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can STEM, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can STEM, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
I'm Max Fink. Join me for the Gator Report on 1010XL as I break down the latest storylines in Gator Nation.
Put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators! Happy New Year, sports fans. Hicken here, and let's keep the skincare talk going while we ring in the new year. You know it's winter, a little cold outside. That sun is still shining, so let's always be reminded to take care of our skin. Beaches Dermatology now has a new location open in Fernandina. So if you live just a little north of Duval, you can now see the pros at Beaches Dermatology without having to make the drive to Jax. Go online to beachesdermatology.com to book your skincare appointment today. That's beachesdermatology.com.
Ammon, you're always talking about how clean air is healthy air. I've had this cold for weeks. Can cleaning my air ducts actually help?
Well, Dad, I'm not a doctor, and let's be honest, you probably caught that cold from one of your grandkids. But I can tell you this, the cleaner your air, the better you'll feel.
Makes sense, but what do air ducts have to do with it?
Your ducts are like the lungs of your home. If they're full of dust, allergens, and who knows what else, all that junk gets blown into the air you breathe, especially now that the heat's running. And the EPA says improving indoor air quality can reduce health risk.
So you're telling me my vents are working harder than my immune system?
Exactly. That's why Zero Res is here. We're NADCA certified, and our truck mount system is the most powerful in the industry. Right now, we're even offering $100 off your total for January.
All right, sign me up. If it makes me feel better and keeps your mom off my back, I'm all in.
Good call, Dad.
Zero Res.
Spelled border backwards.
It's the right way to clean.
C-E-R-O-R-E-C. Zero Res.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a professional stamp licker from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Martin Celery.
Oh, gosh. I can't wait to play, Bob.
Well, let's move things along. Tell him what he's won, Johnny.
Wait, but
That's right, Marty. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we've stocked up on the remaining inventory of low-cost 2024 model air conditioners, so you win. We're passing the savings on to you.
Can I answer a question first?
We need to make room for the 25s, so we're offering great deals on AC replacements while supplies last.
Could I spin the wheel at least? I've been practicing for a year.
With last-minute deals like this, there's no question that you are cool.
What do I tell my kids?
There you go. Have a souvenir t-shirt.
Thanks.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Can't touch this.
Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Tony, it's a great day. It's the first day of 2025 that we got a little hammer time on Jaguars Today with Hayes, the Hammer Carline of the Frangie Show, 1010XL Jaguars embedded reporter. Hayes, hope your New Year's off to a good start. How are you, brother?
Yes, Happy New Year, gentlemen. It's great to be with you.
Oh, it's great to have you. It's been a little while. You know, we get into our own routines during the regular season, but we like to lean on your expertise during these lean months here for the Jaguars. Hayes, let's run it back. We've asked everybody we've talked to since then, and I'm sure you've expressed this opinion plenty on the Frangie Show. What was your reaction to finding out that Doug Peterson would not be retained, but that Trent Baalke, at least for now, would be?
Yeah, I thought it was a disaster. I mean, Doug Peterson needed to be fired for a variety of reasons. There wasn't really any edge in the program. That was on full display in how he reacted to the cheap shot on Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, the offense was incredibly stale and stagnant. And, and so Doug needed to go. But it was a complete shock to me that Trent Baalke was retained, at least to this point. But just because it just, to me, it was the equivalent of, Shad Khan missing a 3-foot putt. I mean, if you go ahead and do the clean sweep, and by that I mean firing 2 people, not 85 employees. But if you do the clean sweep, I think there would have been a real sense of hope and optimism in the fan base. Certainly there's a ton of positive things to sell a new coach and GM about the attributes that the Jaguars have. And I thought it was just a real missed opportunity that Shad Khan elected to, at least again to this point, retain Trent Baalke. And, and I think it's made it murkier for them to land the prize, which is Ben Johnson. I still think that there's a good chance that they get it done, but I think it would be pretty much already over if Shad had gone ahead and said, we're gonna launch a brand new vision of Jaguars football, new head coach, new general manager, and let that be Ben Johnson and Ben Johnson's general manager of his choosing.
How much Is the Jaguars situation affected for improvement or for worse if Balky is placed in as the executive vice president as opposed to being the general manager when all this plays out?
I think it's still going to be a turnoff for candidates that have options, because he still is going to have Shad's ear. And just because he becomes the EVP, even if that's in a position of, where he's not making the decisions, he's more just the, eyes and ears and reports back to Shad. That doesn't mean that he isn't going to be angling to get back into a power position. And I just think you got to just fully move on. I just don't get it. I mean, what has he done to warrant this loyalty from ownership? So, I think it can be massaged. I think they're trying to massage it. I think if it's Ben Johnson's going to have the final say. But I still think if you're Ben Johnson, it's like, but I just don't know that I want him in the building. I just don't know that makes sense for me, because to Balky's credit, we know he's slick and obviously he knows how to spin his story to Shad Khan. So even if there's a little bit of a restructure, I still think that would give me pause. And I think it will give them pause if that's the case. I think the best case would be for Shad Khan to shake Trent Baalke's hand, thank him for his time, and move on. And again, I don't know why Shad has made it so difficult. I mean, hiring a general manager, if you're an NFL owner, is not a hard task. It happens all the time. And I don't know why he views Trent Baalke as invaluable as he appears to.
I don't know, Hayes, if he knows how to put together a short list of replacement candidates, though. I mean, like when he was asked about who are your sounding boards, who do you rely on for advice other than Trent Baalke, he went to Doug Peterson, who he had already fired. And he mentioned him and the current coordinators of the team. It was like, what are you talking? And then, Ethan Waugh, who works under Trent Baalke. So nobody outside of the circle of trust that you're already paying are you trusting. So I don't know if he's got that kind of sense of who the next guy should be, and he kind of poo-pooed the idea of a search firm and all that. So I don't know, man. Let me put it this way. If Ben Johnson wants the job and he says, I want my own GM, and either myself or that person is going to have final say on the draft, free agency, all this stuff. I don't care if Baalke's here in a ceremonial role. Will Shad Khan make that move?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he will. I think, but and again, then it becomes then why does he need to be in the organization?
I hear you.
I mean, that's my thing. It's like if I'm Ben Johnson, it's like, okay, you're willing to give me that, and that's great. But why does he still even need to be in the organization?
Well, because then you're making the owner look bad, right? This is my guess, right? Like okay, if I shunt him off to an EVP role, even if he has ceremonial power as opposed to real power, it kind of preserves the idea that he was a valuable piece of the organization. If I just come along and say, he's the guy, this was my decision, and Ben Johnson goes, nope, got to get him out entirely, and I flip-flop on that, I don't know how Shad Khan would would believe that would make him look or be perceived.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Shad would be concerned about that, because, I mean, league-wide, it would be viewed as the right move. I mean, I don't know that we've seen a move around the league be basically as criticized as the retention of Trent Baalke has been. So I don't think that Shad would lose face at all if he ultimately made that decision to go ahead and just fire Trent Baalke now. I mean, obviously I think the fan base would be behind it as well. So I don't really see how it would, affect anything in regards to that. And, again, it's unfortunate because this really lined up perfectly. And Ben Johnson, he wants the job. I mean, this is the job he wants. I'm hearing that that the Raiders thing. I was really nervous when I saw ESPN's Dan Graziano made his predictions earlier this week, and he had Ben Johnson going to the Raiders, and I got nervous when I saw that. But I learned something last night that that made me feel better. I don't think Ben Johnson to the Raiders is a thing. So everything lines up well here. It's just inexplicable to me that there's this one speed bump that could easily be removed, and there's at least to this point, a reluctance to remove it, because if you get fan base, Ben Johnson and whatever GM Ben Johnson wants to work with, I think you've got the fans really excited for next season. I think the fans see a talented team. I think they see a team that was poorly coached on both sides of the ball last year. And if you give the talent on this roster, Ben Johnson, and whatever defensive staff Ben Johnson assembles, I think you've got a lot of optimism in the market that the Jaguars can be right back in contention for the playoffs next year. But because of loyalty to one person who has a subpar record here in his job, that is in flux.
Ben Johnson, as you've been pointing out, reportedly at least has some concerns about Balky. From the outside, we don't know that necessarily, but do you get a similar sense from any of the other candidates that they would have an issue with Balky walking in?
No, I don't think so. I think, Liam Cohen, Robert Saleh, I think, they probably showed up to the interview wearing, but I understand that. If you're Liam Cohen, it's super early to even be getting head coaching looks. It appears the Jaguars are the only team openings that have an interest in him. And while he had a spectacular year this year, he's really only done it 1 year. So it's pretty early for Liam Cohen to already be getting a head coaching look. So obviously he doesn't have a lot of leverage. He's, I think he's going to work with whoever Shad Khan wants him to work with. And same thing with Robert Saleh. He'll be fortunate if he gets a second crack at it. So I don't think that, he's going to make any demands. Somebody like, Aaron Glenn could potentially have enough leverage to try to sway it a little bit, but no, I think Ben Johnson's probably the only one that is going to push and has a chance of successfully Shad to reconfigure the organization.
All right, I think we're breaking up a little bit here. Hayes Carline for another couple of minutes. Hayes, if you are so bold, who would you be willing to predict right now? Who is your odds-on favorite to be the next Jaguars head coach?
I do think it'll be Ben Johnson. I've been really nervous about it getting to the finish line, but in the last 12 hours, I've been more moved toward. I think they're going to be able to get him here. So I think it'll be Ben Johnson. It's still tepid, but that's where I think it ends up.
Has your confidence in Trevor Lawrence been affected by the way the last two seasons have played out for him and the team?
Yes. I think it's hard for me to project that Trevor is going to be a top 5 quarterback in this league from what we've seen. I think he can be in the top 10, something like that. But the Trevor is he's now getting passed by younger guys, that are coming in and establishing themselves. You look at what Jaden Daniels has done, and we'll see about Bo Nix, and these guys have to, prove they can do it again next year. But I'd say right now Trevor Lawrence is, definitely in the middle of the pack. I think he can elevate and get into that top 10, but it's hard for me to see him becoming a top 4 or 5 guy in the league consistently. He may have a season here and there. But again, I think that if he gets the right head coach, if Ben Johnson is the hire, I think he could certainly bring that out in Trevor Lawrence. So I really don't think Doug Peterson did a much of a job developing Trevor Lawrence. And I think that, the Press Taylor, Doug Peterson, I just don't think that had as much effect on Trevor as what we were hoping it would have when Doug got hired and when they had that first year of success.
All right, Hayes, let's wrap up with this, and we'll look forward to having you on hopefully many more times throughout the offseason. But as it stands right now, if with the 5th pick in the draft, Travis Hunter is off the board, you can have any other player in the draft among the non-quarterbacks. Do you have a preference yet?
I do. I would take Tedero McMillan, the receiver out of Arizona.
All right, just go with the 2 alpha kind of philosophy and lean into your franchise quarterback a little bit there.
Yeah, you look at McMillan's game. I mean, obviously 6'5", 212, incredible catch radius, incredible hands, works the middle of the field incredibly well. Really bright kid as well, just 21 years old. Amazing collegiate production, 3,400 yards, 26 touchdowns on 213 receptions, so a touchdown every 8.2 catches. And a couple of plays that really stood out to me. In the West Virginia game, they throw a double pass. The quarterback throws it to T-Mac, and so he's looking to throw it, but it's not there. He scrambles to the middle of the field and then has enough football instinct to complete the pass. So just good instinctual football intelligence stuff that shows up. There was a game against UCF. They were losing 42-6, so a lot of stars. Maybe you're at that point in the game, you're getting killed. Where's the effort? He makes a one-handed touchdown catch in the end zone while being interfered with. So just a lot of things that really stand out about T-Mac's game. So, yeah, T-Mac and BTJ, I think, would be pretty lethal here in Jacksonville.
All right. Hayes Carline, always lethal. Watch out for the hammer. It will be falling for you next. Hammer time with Hayes Carline is over. You can find Hayes on social media at his name, HaysCarlyon. And, of course, this afternoon and most weekday afternoons on the Frangie Show. Hayes, always appreciate the perspective. Thanks for the time this morning.
Thank you guys so much. Take care.
All right, buddy. There he goes. Tony, I just got through saying I'm not going to believe everything I see on the internet, but on the text line here, inside sources telling me the next head coach for the Jaguars, Jason Sudeikis, as Shad loves what he has done with AFC Richmond. You know, that one I kind of buy a little bit. That one I kind of buy. Also, someone texted
in Lasso. Okay.
Yeah. Someone texted to us the fish sticks from the head down. I think they mean the fish rots from the head down, but maybe there's some variation of that phrase that I'm not familiar with. But I think he was saying that, the higher you go, it stinks. And as long as you've got, those decision makers in place, you're going to get a bad product. That's at least my interpretation of that one. All right. So thank you to Hayes Carline, Brian Sexton. In about 25 minutes, so we'll go around the league. Coming up next, Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark, Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. All this cold weather, nothing better than some of these warm, delicious options from Dandy. How about some country sausage biscuits? A perfect twin pack to enjoy or share. Each one an ounce and a half of country sausage patty from Swaggerty, simply the best tasting sausage in the US of A, and served on a Pillsbury flaky biscuit, exactly 60 seconds to good. And don't forget the mustard, or maybe a meatball sub, a hearty, messy, gooey, delicious meatball sub, that is, with marinara and plenty of Swiss cheese, served on a garlic Parmesan sub roll from Village Bread right here in town. Maybe the Boom Boom steak sub, flame broiled beef strips, seasoned and marinated, and gluten-free, by the way. No artificial ingredients. Add Swiss cheese, some of that Boom Boom sauce, and bam, delicious anytime, but it warms you up when it's cold outside. Those are just some of the options from Dandy, always innovating. So head to the Fresh Case at a Gate Station and do what I do. Make yours a dandy and do it today.
Me, Frank Franchi.
I just think about baseball.
With Hayes Carline.
How about that?
They are the Franchi Show.
What's wrong with this picture?
You may not look like a winning team, but you are one.
Afternoons on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today.
For the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL.
Are you an experienced chiller technician and looking for a role where your skills are truly valued? It's time to make the move to Local 234, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians. You'll get top pay, comprehensive health and welfare benefits for your family, and a pension that doesn't come out of your pocket. Join the team that's got your back. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today.
Equal opportunity employer.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Jaguars Today Thursday is towed by Cannons of Jacksonville for all your towing needs.
There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Hey, Icken here for Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code JAX, J-A-X, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code JAX to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, man. Run your game.
Yup, E.T. here. And are you a golfer or a runner? Well, Clay County has you covered. The Hellcat 5K and 10K on Saturday, January 18th is at the historic Lee Field in Green Cove Springs, winding through a historic World War II neighborhood. Then, February 5th through the 7th, watch the top talent compete in the 2025 Clay County Open at Eagle Harbor Golf and Country Club. This pro tournament boasts golfers chasing the PGA Tour dream. For info on both events, visit the event calendar on explorerclay.com.
Start your Saturday with a whiff of the great outdoors.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Lagerman, and we bring you the fresh air of the great outdoors.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL, the flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach, WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Barley and Pie Brewing Company in Fleming Island is excited to announce an all-new happy hour, 7 days a week. You heard right. Every day from 3 until 6 p.m. and again from 9 until close. Barley and Pie has deals you can't resist. 2-for-1 clay lights, 2-for-1 house wines, and much more. Experience the all-new happy hour at Barley and Pie Brewing Company in Fleming Island.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Dan and Jeff are going to be live from the brand new showroom at Tyson Sound and Security this Friday. You have to check out Tyson's showroom home theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. Did I mention Friday morning you can enter to win a $2,500 prize giveaway? Bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, now at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Mia here. When it comes to roofing, whether it be shingles, metal, or most repairs, there is one name that has protected your home since 1999. Jags Roofing. Serving all of Northeast Florida, Mike and his guys have been repairing and replacing roofs for 25 years. Need insurance help? Mike's team can help. Raised in a military family, Mike provides great attention to detail with unparalleled quality and workmanship. They also have warranties, so you can have peace of mind. Call Mike today for a free estimate or online at projacksroofingfl.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by the First Coast YMCA. The search for the next head coach in Duval continues, as names like former Jets head coach Robert Saleh and Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson being the most prominent names thrown around. The Jags franchise quarterback Trevor Lawrence gave his thoughts on what he's looking for in the next head coach.
I'd love to have a young offensive coach that can have our system and we can build on it for years to come, but whoever it ends up being, just a great leader that can really rally the team around him, guys that will go out there and put everything on the line for him. I think that's obviously something you're looking for, and whether that's an offensive or defensive guy, just the best leader for our team.
Trevor Lawrence with Kai Stevens. It's 58 degrees at 11:01. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, it's all Dan Hicken's fault. We got on this Girl Scout cookie kick.
Who got them Girl Scout cookies?
Well, on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, Girl Scout cookies, yuck. Followed by someone else saying, Life Hack, Dollar General sells their own version of Girl Scout cookies in a few different flavors. They have them year-round, and they're about a quarter of the price, and they're dang good, too.
Okay.
So, I ain't opposed to going to Dollar General.
No.
You know? Nothing's really $1 there, right? Is it?
No,
just in general.
$1.07.
Very nice.
$1-ish.
But I'm pumped. Yeah, cheaper than you'd find at other places, you know, generally. But
like that 5 or below spot over at the town center. They got that 5 or below.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
You got a variety of prices.
Yeah, they do.
I've never been in there. You ever have anything good? What kind of stuff are they selling?
It's
so like
whatever.
A grocery?
If you're trying to get like candy, you know, it's the spot to be, you know, that kind of thing. If I ever needed to buy like another extension cord of some sort, I'd probably go there. You know, like
extension cords, candy.
Like,
we got it all.
Like, yeah, if you're looking for like coloring books for a kid, they're cheap. You know,
inflatable above ground pools, we got them too.
You know, that kind of thing. It's what you would expect in a 5 or below
kids or
kind
adults.
of store. Yeah.
All right. Do they sell the sharpened pencils, the multicolored pencils?
Yeah.
To go with your adult coloring books?
Yeah.
Kids don't use no pencils no more, Mike. They got laptops.
No, for coloring books.
Coloring books.
Talking about, like,
And if they don't have that, they certainly had crayons that I can remember, so you can color there.
Yeah, look, I've never had one, but you see it. You go to Publix in the checkout line, you'll probably see an adult coloring book.
Yeah, I've got a few at home
in that section right there. Is that right? What kind of theme?
No real theme to it.
No, just general coloring.
I had a friend of mine one year for Christmas a couple of years ago that got me a Van Gogh. Book like that.
That's kind of cool.
Like that was kind of cool, where I'm like painting my own Van Gogh with colored pencils. Yeah,
I ran out of yellow. Damn it. Let's see. Oh, is that right? Bob Uecker passed away. I did not see that. It says I know it's Jags Today, but rest in peace, Bob Uecker.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Age of 90.
Bob Uecker, who's you've known forever, must be in the front row. That's what I knew him best for, really, back in the day, that Miller Lite commercial, right? Wasn't that what it was, a Miller Lite commercial?
It was Miller Lite, yeah.
But Joe Block, who's a friend of mine, friend of ours, used to work on 1010XL back in the early days, used to be the voice of the Jacksonville Suns, and left Jacksonville and now is the voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates, but has made several stops along the way, working for different major league clubs, and one of them was Milwaukee at the time, and he worked a few innings a night with Bob Uecker. How cool was that?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Joe Block, who might have been told here locally he didn't have the voice for baseball broadcasting.
Still crazy.
Try to protect the person who told him that, who was in position to, decide whether or not he was going to be on the air. Anyway,
and obviously Major League for Bob Uecker. For anyone who doesn't know him from all that other stuff, Major League's his major claim to fame.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. I guess I'm not. I've seen Major League, I've probably seen Major League 2 they did as
They did
well,
too.
right?
Yeah, he was in the second one. I don't know if he was in the third one or not. I doubt it.
I didn't even know they had a third one, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm not like a lot of people can quote everything from Caddyshack or Major League or I know who Joe Boo is, right? But I can't quote chapter and verse.
I know a lot of
movies.
Major League. Yeah.
Do you?
Hello, all you Wahoo maniacs. Yeah.
Don't know that.
Yeah.
But all right, let's see. We see where Tony Smith's birthday shopping place is. Heading over to the town center, baby. I got a hot fiver burning a hole in my pocket right now. All right, let's. Why don't we take a moment, Tony, and not go to the town center, but go around the rest of the NFL.
Now, Gems Around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
The Indianapolis Colts have been announced as the home team for the first NFL regular season game to be played in Berlin next year. Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Zay Flowers did not practice on Wednesday. The Baltimore Ravens, as we mentioned earlier in the show, did claim Deontay Johnson on waivers. He's not eligible to join the team until after the Super Bowl and will still be a free agent in March. Detroit running back David Montgomery was a full participant in practice after being estimated to be a full participant at Tuesday's walkthrough, so more and more signs that he's going to be able to go this weekend. The city of Cleveland has filed a lawsuit against the Browns to stop them from leaving their lakefront stadium and building a dome stadium in Brook Park. Bo Jackson won a $21 million lawsuit against his niece and nephew when he said that they were trying to extort him for $20 million through harassment and intimidation, but Bo has given up on taking the money that he won in that lawsuit from the relatives.
All right, thank you, Tony. The Berlin thing, I'm glad you brought that up because somebody tweeted me about it and said it's understanding that the Jags are only going to play one game in London this year. Mm-hmm. Could I see them playing an additional game in Berlin? And I could not. It makes sense to ask the question. You're already over in Europe, right? So you play your game, then you go over to the next country, which is, not that far away to prepare for the next week's game. But I don't think Shad Khan has any interest in that. He's always wanted to be, quote, London's team, in terms of the international exposure and particularly just Wembley Stadium's team, right? Remember, he tried to buy Wembley, obviously. I don't think Shad's interested. Look, it's one thing if you're playing in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. If you're the road team, you don't have as much say over it. But I don't think he has any interest in going to Berlin to play a game, is my sense. And, I don't think the league would ever compel a team that continues to give up a home game
to do it. Yeah.
Right. I think if they made that request, I just don't think that's on the radar for them as far as that goes. We're talking about Deontay Johnson earlier and his path going from Pittsburgh and then picked up by Baltimore. Somebody made the point, hey, it probably would be no net gain for the Jaguars because we'll outspend what we lose in free agency. That may be the case. But what's the harm? What if you don't? What if you as Shad Khan said, we need to start building through the draft, rewarding our own guys with longer contracts. So, yes, it probably won't impact the Ravens, quite frankly. But it might. Mm-hmm. And if it impacts anybody, they're the ones who are going to get the benefit for absolutely nothing other than sending in the waiver claim, right? The other thing that came, people talk about the leader of men category, right, for head coaching jobs. And I think you would put Mike Tomlin in that category, right?
Certainly.
Leader of men. Always has a good answer, or at least a palatable answer. I heard him say, was it yesterday or the day before, whenever they had their season-ending press conference, asked him about, the quarterback play and what have you seen from Russell Wilson or Justin Fields that leads you to believe you could win big if those guys were to return as your quarterbacks. And he basically gave some kind of BS answer, but it was slick and it was right off the top of his head. And he talked about, just how they fit in with the team and stuff like that. Nothing about their actual ability, but it was a good answer that you it didn't hang either guy out to dry. No. It wasn't like it
professional.
It was a professional answer, right? Yeah. He always seems to know what the right thing to say is. I saw that story then that came out. I think it came out yesterday. George Pickens is turning into another one of these pain in the butt receivers, it appears, right? Or may already be there. He's had some over the year, right? They shipped out Mike Wallace. Was that a Tomlin decision at the time? I want to say it was.
I assume most of what happens there is the Tomlin.
But
thing.
I mean, was that Tomlin's tenure or was that Cowher's tenure at the end of Cowher's tenure?
No, that was Tomlin.
That was Tomlin when they shipped?
Mike Wallace was there 09 to 12.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mike Wallace wanted this huge deal. They offered him whatever they offered him. He said no. You get sent to Miami, and they gave that deal to Antonio Brown, basically. And then Antonio Brown, we come to find, was a pain in the neck as well, right? So I'm not saying, he's probably done a good job overall, like tamping down the crazy, right? To the point where, he keeps having a winning record, finding himself in the postseason, dealing with some of this stuff. But I saw the one thing Tomlin said, told the team, you got to be there 2 hours before kickoff for this game. That's probably a standard rule, whatever the case may be. I think it might be an NFL rule. But George Pickens showed up after inactives were announced, 90 minutes before kickoff. So he was there about an hour and 25 minutes before kickoff, definitely late. And they let him play in the game, and he was the most targeted receiver and all that. Now, I get, on the one hand, like, if I punish this guy, am I hurting the rest of the team?
Right.
And is it worth doing that? But at the same time, if this is it, if you're the leader of men, and we're going to set the standard, and the standard's the standard, it sounds good, and then the realities come crashing in of like, we still got to win a football game. And if we don't have him on the field, we're probably not as good. I don't know what you should do in that circumstance. But if you draw a bright line and then one guy is allowed to step way over it and seemingly have no repercussions, who knows? Maybe you ran some laps at practice, Tony. How do you punish a guy otherwise? I don't know what you're doing. You know.
And who knows what was going on up there all those years with Antonio.
Oh, right. We found out. Remember when he live streamed Tomlin in the post-game locker room?
Yeah.
And that it was like, oh, this is kind of weird. And then we started, the snowball started rolling downhill. And we found out all these weird things about Antonio Brown.
And looking at it right now, because, we were just talking about it with Baltimore making the waiver claim on Deontay. They did sign Deontay to a 2-year extension, which was really a 1-year extension. They redid the last year of his rookie deal there in Pittsburgh, and he played that 5th year there. And they were willing. I'm looking at it now. 2 years, $36.7 million, which for wide receivers is pretty cheap, right? 18 is not that bad for wide receivers in today's NFL, but they pulled the plug on it, right? Like after a year, whatever was going on with Deontay, like they were like, nope, this is not worth the hassle of dealing with this guy anymore,
right?
And I think part of that was they had brought Pickens in, so they thought that he would be taking over that kind of role for the football team, so they thought that they could kind of roll it over. But they've been it's part of the draw to a guy like Tomlin. He's found a way, right? Like, given those kind of situations where Deontay didn't work out long-term for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that didn't hurt them all that much. They found a way, and it does feel like Pickens, if he's trying to do that kind of stuff, then I don't see anything with him lasting beyond his rookie deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They'll figure something else out in the draft this year.
Right.
And go forward in that direction. That's what they'll do because that's what they, for a long time, have done.
Well, but it just does go to the point of the whole leader of men. Like, you got to set the standard. You got to let these guys know that's not acceptable. Yeah. Well, what happens when one of the players you absolutely need to win a game does something that's unacceptable?
Right.
Even the, quote, leader of men guys sometimes bend to the realities of, I got to have my most talented players available.
And it affects the long-term decision-making they make with any of those guys, right? Like, they don't get married to it. They're like, I got to deal with it now. I don't have to deal with it tomorrow, right? That's kind of the way that Tomlin seems to have dealt with it in his time in Pittsburgh, and they've been willing to move on from guys that they were willing to make a move with. They've been willing to move on, and Pickens is, if he's going to continue to do that kind of stuff, he's going to be gone.
All right, not here. He ain't coming here. I'll tell you. He's just a man, super talented guy, and just one of the leading head cases apparently right now in the National Football League. That is not a good segue to Brian Sexton. Super talented, yes. Not a head case. Brian Sexton, longtime voice of the Jags, will join us to talk what else but your Jacksonville Jaguars straight ahead on Jaguars Today here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are expecting slight turbulence. Please remain in your seats until the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign.
We have clearance, Clarence. What's our vector, Victor?
1010XL.
It's the only way to fly.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjax.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Hey, John, looking for the perfect family ride?
How about taking your family on a luxury ride with the all-new 2024 Cadillac Escalade?
That sounds amazing. If you're a loyal customer, you get $4,000 off. Or if you're new to Randy Marion, you can get a $3,000 Conquest discount.
And don't forget the 5% savings on retired courtesy transportation vehicles.
You can save over $10,000 on select 2024 Escalade.
Experience the luxury and comfort at Randy Marion Cadillac.
Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
Plus tax tag title $899 admin fee and resist all on approved credit.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
Bull riding. The perfect fusion of strength, skill, and pure willpower. Professional bull riders aren't just athletes. They're daredevils with cowboy souls. Come experience the true modern West, where 8 seconds of glory will create a lifetime of memories. It's the Michelob Ultra PBR Jacksonville at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, February 22nd and 23rd. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com and PBR.com. Hold on tight. The ride of your life is about to begin.
Jaguars Today, Thursday, is brought to you by
Cannons of Jacksonville.
Ring in the new year with a new boat. Don't miss the Jacksonville Boat Show, January 24th, 25th, and 26th at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. Presented by ViStar Credit Union. Tickets at boatjacks.com. Come buy a boat.
Budweiser reminds us to drink wiser, like hydrating between beers. It keeps the fun going longer, and it's a commitment to responsibility. Remember, good times are ahead, so no need to overdo it. Know when to say when, and always designate a driver.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. If you have a school, team, or group that would benefit from a team store, you're in luck because we now offer team stores. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all. Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser start the week by giving the ball to the best back in Duval.
And off, Fred Taylor.
Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein & Robbins DUI Defense Firm and Monahan Jewelers on 1010XL.
New year, new club. This is Joe C., and I'm proud to be a member of Southampton. And with the popularity of golf, getting a tee time is tough. But with membership comes member privileges. Enjoy clubhouse dining, expanded practice area, focusing on all parts of your game. And right now, you can join with an annual commitment and get a $1,000 discount, plus $500 of Pro Shop credit. All the details are online at golfsouthampton.com or call 287-PLAY and make a tee time today at the Golf Club of Southampton.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, it's kind of cooling down right now. I love opening my windows up this time of year. If you're looking to upgrade your windows in your home, I want you to visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Ask about their latest hurricane and impact-resistant windows and doors, rated #1 by Consumer Reports in all 3 main window categories. You want quality, style, and protection? Visit PellaJacks.com and the showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors online at PellaJacks.com.
Hey, gang, Prosser here, and if it's time for you to sell your home, there is nothing like a guarantee, is there? Well, with Chad and Sandy and ChadandSandy.com, you know what the guarantee is? Your home sold guaranteed, or they'll buy it. How simple can it be? Whatever problems you think you have, didn't I just eliminate most of them? Perhaps you're worried about costly repairs, need to sell your home, not with Chad and Sandy. Maybe you're worried you won't sell your home for the price you need. That's what the agreed upon price is all about. Chad and Sandy, check every box. Call them today. Chad and Sandy, the only local real estate experts I trust and recommend. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. No long-term contracts. Cancel at any time. Jonathan in Mount Pleasant. The only thing standing between me and my dream of traveling in my RV was the sale of my home. I heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. Crazy results in just 3 days. Got multiple offers for full asking price. You can too. Call 904-414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
D1 Training East Jacksonville invites you to their mega NFL football camp at the Bowl School February 1st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Ages 7 through 16. Get hands-on coaching from former NFL players at every single station. The coaches lineup put together by Connor and Sam at D1 is proudly sponsored by Tim Tebow. To sign up, call 904-901-6470.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Hey, yeah, I want to shoot, baby, shoot.
Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
So,
I wish video and audio occasionally was running towards the end of breaks because we were trying to figure out what we were going to play with Brian.
What's his walk-up music
right?
gonna
Like
be?
here on the show because we got what we got for Hayes. We got hammer time for Hayes, and we were thinking, what's going on with Brian? We weren't sure,
right?
What his favorite. And I heard Dylan asking, he's like, "What's your favorite band?" He's like, Zach Brown. He's like, okay. And I heard him trying a couple different songs. He's like,
oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to get a good one. I want one of those good ones.
Shoop instead.
Yeah.
Very
I already had the
closely
system
related.
ready to go before I had made the call.
He tried, Brian. He tried. I
he
listened
did.
to him try.
Let's say hello to the senior correspondent from Jaguars.com, Mr. Brian Sexton. Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm great, and I am not offended. To have walk-up music at all is an honor.
Well, we're working on it. I mean, you're not quite in that regularly appearing on the show stage. Not that, we're not opposed to more frequent visits from you, but we'll work on Dylan getting a better selection of Zach Brown ahead of time for the next visit. Anyway, what has life been like for Brian Sexton since the Jaguars season ended?
Well, for 30 years, it has never failed to surprise me at how you go from 1,000 miles an hour in season to zero. I mean, it's like stomping on the brakes. Every bit of routine, everything that you do every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it changes. And I shift into more of I'm out at the Rotary clubs and Saturday night black tie charity galas and more the community outreach guy in the off season. And I love it. It's obviously a whole lot more fun when you're coming off a winning season. I'm cornered at a lot of Rotary meetings with a lot of really pointed questions, but I enjoy that part of it too. So it's I'd rather be working right now, though.
Well, let me ask you, we all would, right, in terms of the Jags making a playoff run, and hopefully we'll get that in 2025 and beyond. But from your community feedback that you get, we understand there's a lot of strong opinions about Trent Baalke as the general manager. But I also get every 10th one we get is like, you guys are way over the top. Baalke's done a good job. Look at some of the players we have on the roster. You're making this out to be all his fault and blah, blah, blah. So generally, what kind of reaction are you getting? Are people as tuned in? Like, we tend to think that everyone who listens to Jaguars Today is representative of every fan out there. I don't think that is absolutely the case. Maybe they're the more invested portion of the fan base, but what has your reaction that you've gotten been like?
Well, so I'll give you. I was in a doctor's waiting room about a week ago, and a lady who was probably in her mid-60s leaned over to me. She goes, "I hate to bother you, but since you're sitting next to me, can I ask you why they haven't fired Trent Baalke yet?" And, the first surprise that always is, oh, okay. Wow, I didn't think you'd ask me that. And I said, well, if you don't mind, let me throw the question back at you. Why? Why do you want him fired? And she didn't really have a good answer. And so I think what there is this momentum towards the record, which obviously hasn't been good enough, and the tie, as has been explained to me, to the 2021 season and that whole disaster that it was. And when you start talking about the players on the roster, the salary cap, which is in really good shape with the quarterback, pass rusher, and cornerback all signed, left tackle, if you believe in Walker Little as well.
Mm-hmm.
He drafted Brian Thomas Jr. and gave you a third and a fourth round pick moving back to do it. got a fourth-round pick for a left tackle that you didn't want anymore on an expiring contract. People, they mellow out a little bit. They want to have more of a discussion. Well, what has to change to get better? So the people that I'm running into, I'm finding one-on-one, right? Not on social media, not necessarily on the radio, but one-on-one, you can have a conversation and you can kind of talk them off the ledge is probably an over-exaggeration, but talk them into a conversation where they're open to the fact that he didn't just blow the whole thing up. But listen, the fact that she leaned over and said to me, why haven't they fired him yet, tells you that most of the fan base wants to know why things haven't changed entirely.
Was now the right time to move on from Doug Peterson because that is the decision that they made?
I think it probably was because the quarterback hadn't progressed. That's not to say that everything that Doug Peterson did was wrong. But the quarterback is why Doug Peterson was hired. And whoever the new head coach is, the number one task is going to be fix the quarterback. So here you are, in the quarterback's third season in Doug's system, and he had some really good moments last year, 2024. But there were also moments, and you guys know because you cover it as closely as I do, where you're like, why is he still struggling with situational awareness? Like Philadelphia, right? End of the ball game, 2 minutes left, 1st and 10 inside the 20-yard line. You have a chance to take the lead for the first time in the game. And he throws the ball on the wheel route with Nakobe Dean playing excellent defense in front of Dearness Johnson. Listen, the rule there is, as we were told during the week talking to players and coaches, was when the linebacker gets greater width than the corner before the snap. In other words, when the linebacker knows what's coming, you can't throw the wheel route. And you're not going to throw it to a 5'10" running back. But he did. That's situational awareness. Is that on Doug? To some degree. Is it on the quarterback? To some degree. So the reality of it is I think the time to move on is now because you've got to get the quarterback started. You paid him $54 million a year. He got $54 million of that already. There's $200+ million there waiting. And this franchise needs their quarterback playing at a much higher level than he has been playing since the midpoint of last season. So when you say it like that, I think it was reasonable to expect him to make that change.
Look, we've heard from various national sources that the Jaguars' job, maybe sans bulky, is the most attractive in the National Football League that's currently open right now. And some of the belief is that it shouldn't be a slow turnaround for this team necessarily. I know some people will say, well, Brian works for the Jaguars. He's going to give you the company spin. I've known you to be a straight shooter. How close is this team to being where the Texans are and becoming the team that's dominant in the AFC South and winning, a handful of back-to-back championships?
As close to getting the quarterback to playing at a higher level as that takes. I mean, listen, the reason why I can't throw Trent Baalke out the door is because I look at the roster and all of us, I won't speak for you, me, I thought this team was 9-8, 10-7 this year. All right. And the reason I did is because of the players that they had drafted and that they had signed in free agency. So I can't throw him out and say he hasn't done a good job if I say that I expect this team to turn around in 1 year. Not with the salary cap the way that it is, not with the roster the way that I think that it is. Does it need to be better? Yeah, of course it does. The results this year prove that. I think you can be right back in the 9-8, 10-7 conversation. And for what it's worth, Doug Peterson said that the final week he was employed here. He thought you could turn this thing around in short order. You've got to fix a couple of things. You got to be able to run the ball on third down and know that you can convert. To stay on the field longer, you've got to be able to push the top of the pocket so that those two defensive ends have a quarterback who has to decide, am I going to 41 or am I going to 44? Which one can I get away from faster? You've got to have a couple of things. But in reality, this team and this roster is good enough that if the quarterback comes out, and I say this also with the knowledge that for the first time in his career, he has an elite alpha, number one, hard to guard, changes the complexity wide receiver on the field. When you think about what Brian Thomas Jr. did with Mac Jones, his quarterback for 7 starts, and I'm not throwing shade at Mac, but Mac doesn't have the deep ball accuracy or the deep ball arm that Trevor does. I expect Trevor to take a huge step forward because of Brian Thomas Jr. this year. So I think they're right back in the equation. The Texans have some things on defense, but they don't have more than this team does. And the Texans, I think, have a very solid offensive line. I think if you can lean on your running game a little bit more in 2025, then I think your quarterback can take the next step, and I think this team is right back in the equation. They're better than the Colts. I think they're better than the Titans, and I think you can compete with the Texans in 2025.
Do you think Trent Baalke remaining the general manager here in Jacksonville has an effect on the head coaching search that they're doing right now?
You know, everybody seems to think that way. It hasn't stopped them from interviewing everyone they've wanted to interview with. So I can't tell you, Tony, whether or not that has an implication going into the second round of interviews when they get there. I will say that the owner obviously has a lot of confidence in Trent when he looks at his roster and his salary cap and the way that things are working in his building. That doesn't mean that, and he said this, Mia asked the question, you know, would a coach be able to convince you to change that relationship? And he said, well, how would you do it? The one thing I know about Shad, and I don't want to delude anybody. I don't spend a lot of time in meetings with Shad, right? But the one thing I know about the way his organization works is there is a fluidity to doing things the right way. And so if somebody comes in and says, look, you want me to be the coach, here's what I have to have, I don't know that he throws Trent out. In fact, I don't believe that would happen. But if you start leaning one direction or the other in terms of who has the final say, I don't know, maybe he's open to that. Maybe a coaching candidate says, look, when it comes down to the final roster cut or the final vote for who we're drafting, I got to have it. Well, I wouldn't put it past the owner to say, all right, let's figure this thing out. But I can't answer the question. I know that Ben Johnson is what everyone wants, and there was the rumor that he would not be interested in this job if Trent Baalke was the general manager, but he was interested enough to go through the first round of interviews. So we'll see where that one goes. You know what? I also think that in the social media world, a thought can become a rumor, can become momentum. And there was that idea that Byron Leftwich wouldn't take the job if Trent Baalke was the general manager. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he debunked that in that Athletic article that came out, the early part of December.
Right.
So I wouldn't. There are only 32 of these jobs, and this is in a great southern city with a great tax environment, with a brand new $200 million facility, with a $1.3 billion deal coming on top of that, with an owner who doesn't meddle, with a big checkbook and a history of writing checks. I wouldn't suppose that just because one person is on the staff that it's going to blow it up entirely. Is there a negotiation that could take place? Sure. But I don't think people are running away from this job because of Trent Baalke. And I think that's the perception among a certain faction of the fan base. And I just don't know that that's true.
Well, and it gets perpetuated by there are those people in the national media saying those exact things without, attaching a name to any of their sources on that, which I understand how media works, right? If you've got a source, they want to be protected. So anyway, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. Let's just wrap up with this. Do you have a preferred candidate? Who's the Brian Sexton guy? If he would accept the job today, who would you want to hire?
Well, if you could tell me that if Ben Johnson is the same guy in front of the room or very similar to Aaron Glenn, his defensive counterpart in Detroit, I'd say Ben Johnson. I mean, look, he's got a 33.2 points per game scoring average and 409 yards of offense. He also had a hand in turning around Jared Goff's career. I get all that. What I don't know about Ben is if he's that forceful personality in front of the room like Aaron Glenn is. You've got to have that, Mike. This building lacks a culture. It lacks that identity. And I don't think you can just say, give me that offensive wizard, no matter whether he can do that or not. The Jaguars have been looking for that identity for years. That's what I want. And when I listen to Aaron Glenn talk, and of course I recall Aaron Glenn from 2007 when he was on that great defense that was filled with big personalities, he stood out in the locker room all those years ago with Stroud and Henderson and Reggie and all those guys. I would love the personality of Aaron Glenn. So if you're asking me right now, give me Aaron Glenn.
All right, let's take them both. We'll get them both. All right. Co-head coaches, Aaron Glenn. I did like when he came out and said, look, I'm a football coach, man. I'm going to be just as involved with the offense as I am with the defense. I'm not a defensive coach. I'm a football coach.
Do you know, I ask people all the time when I'm talking to them, and they talk about the great job that has been that happened in Detroit. Do you know do you know how many people know what position Dan Campbell played when he played in the NFL for 11 seasons?
Probably not that many.
They think he was a linebacker. Right. He was a tight end.
Tight end, yeah.
Yeah, they don't know what side of the ball he coached on during his 11 seasons before he got to Detroit. He was a tight ends coach. It doesn't matter, offense or defense. What matters is, do you hire the right man? He hired Aaron Glenn. He hired Ben Johnson, right? What matters is you get the right guy with the right personality that creates a sustainable culture in Jacksonville, which, honest to goodness, we haven't had since Tom Coughlin left the first time. After that, they've been looking for that personality, and they have never found it. It's time to find it.
All right, Brian Sexton has spoken, ladies and gentlemen, senior correspondent over at Jaguars.com. And it's been my pleasure to work with you for the last several years on the pre- and post-game shows, and hopefully for many years to come. And hopefully
I look forward to it.
We'll be doing a lot of that postseason stuff that you mentioned.
I hope so.
Sooner rather than later.
And listen, I'll have a song. The next time you invite me
All
on,
right.
I will have a song, and I will text it to you when we firm up the date.
And then Dylan will play some 90s kind of, hip-hop or something for you instead.
I remember dancing to that song, so I knew
wow.
it.
Shoop doesn't seem like an easy song to dance to, but that'll be a discussion for another day. Brian, say hi to the Rotary Clubs, and we appreciate your time as always, man.
You got it. Take care.
All right, buddy. Here he goes, Brian Sexton, longtime voice of the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, take a quick break here. We'll come back, take a look at the Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. If it's not Ben Johnson, who's your preferred candidate for the Jags head coaching job? This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Want to highlight the fact that they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary. That's right, a decade ago, Awaken 180 came on the scene, and their founder, Paige, developed a long-term solution for weight loss that could work for anybody. Cutting through all the misconceptions of lose weight, quick gadgets, and fad diets, and medications. There's no injections. There's no rigorous exercise regime. You just eat to lose weight with Awaken 180. Does that seem counterintuitive? Well, once you get into the program, you're going to understand how eating certain foods at certain times of day turns your body into a fat-burning machine, and they've had tremendous success with over 23,000 clients losing a combined 750,000 pounds. It's no surprise Awaken 180 Weight Loss has an over 98% customer satisfaction rating. Big part of that is free coaching and support for life. Hit your goal weight, and they'll be right there with you every step of the way. That's Awaken 180. Schedule a free consultation online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Big moment. Play-by-play is full of plot twists.
Did that just happen?
And high-octane drama.
And this game is tied.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today.
You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Yo, E.T. here. And are you a golfer or a runner? Well, Clay County has you covered. The Hellcat 5K and 10K on Saturday, January 18th is at the historic Lee Field in Green Cove Springs, winding through a historic World War II naval base. Then, February 5th through the 7th, watch the top talent compete in the 2025 Clay County Open at Eagle Harbor Golf and Country Club. This pro tournament boasts golfers chasing the PGA Tour dream. For info on both events, visit the event calendar on exploreclay.com.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmaster since '68.
You're locked into Jaguars Today Thursday with Cannons of Jacksonville.
Hey, Hicken here. It's playoff time now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. With more than 10 million members and billions of dollars awarded in winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. The app is simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projections, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your accounts this sports season. Join Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, available to play in more than 40 states. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code JAX and get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code JAX on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, man. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a walk-in closet that's not only beautiful, but incredibly functional for me and Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com and take advantage of their 40% off New Year savings this month only, including 18 months special financing. Closets by Design.
It's kind of like his own private locker, and you're his guest.
Every time we talk, I'm reinvigorated by my love of the game.
Hayes Carline here. Find my blog at 1010xl.com.
Hayes Blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing, where quality and experience count.
Mia here. When it comes to roofing, whether it be shingles, metal, or most repairs, there is one name that has protected your home since 1999. Pro Jags Roofing. Serving all of Northeast Florida, Mike and his guys have been repairing and replacing roofs for 25 years. Need insurance help? Mike's team can help. Raised in a military family, Mike provides great attention to detail with unparalleled quality and workmanship. They also have warranties, so you can have peace of mind. Call Mike today for a free estimate or online at projacksroofingfl.com.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists, and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
Mia here for Dreamfinders Homes. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now is your chance to lock down the rate and get in the game. You heard me right, a 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershome.com for more details.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day, asking you, if you can't have Ben Johnson, which of these men would you want the Jacksonville Jaguars to hire as their next head coach? And we went with the ones who had received the most votes, the most interest. So people went off the board and submitted, like Brian Flores' name came up a few times here.
He's
but
interviewing tomorrow.
Correct. Todd Monken's interviewing today. We didn't include him in the poll, though, because he didn't, draw as much interest as these other names. So alphabetically, Brady, Joe, Cohen, Liam, Glenn, Aaron, and Salah, Robert were the choices we gave you today. Tone, I agree with the plurality. It's not a majority that would want Aaron Glenn. I do. He is like kind of guy you can just really get behind leading your football team. I'm not sure as much about Liam Cohen as I am about some of these other guys, and he's bounced around a lot. 1 year here, 1 year there, 1 year in the other place.
Yeah.
I tend to more think of Joe Brady as a guy who has learned his lesson in some different spots in the National Football League, has excelled working and getting the best out of Josh Allen with not the best skill position players around him in the passing game. Obviously, when he had the great talent at LSU, you saw what that Joe Burrow-led team did. 60 touchdown passes and obviously an abundance of riches there. Yeah. But I'd probably put him next on my list. I'm not that interested in Robert Saleh, quite frankly. I just don't. I mean, look, I'm interested as a defensive coordinator. Who wouldn't be, right? But did the guy who the Jets hand me down, I feel like I need some space in between Saleh just getting fired midseason as the Jets coach before I could get behind he was the best candidate for this job to be the head guy immediately.
Well, we've had plenty of discussions since the job came open about what you need to prioritize and at what kind of level, right? And whatever they're going to hire for whoever the next head coach is going to be. And since we've started having those discussions, I've always landed more on the side of the leader, right? Like that's the thing that I think is more important. If you're having the discussion directly between leader and offensive play caller, I think leader is the more important attribute for that coach. I think Aaron Glenn is the easiest to see that in, right? Not that I can't see it a little bit in Brady or can't see it a little bit in Cohen, but it feels like the vision for what Glenn is as that leader is way more clear than it is with anybody else that is on that list, at least to me. So Glenn would be my easy vote in today's poll question. I think beyond that, I probably would agree with you. I'd probably go Brady, then Cohen, then Saleh, right?
Out of these options.
Right,
yes.
Out of these options. But it is like there is a big gap in my mind between Glenn and Brady. That doesn't mean it's in reality, the way these things are going to work out with whatever these guys are going to do with the jobs that they get if they get them, right? It doesn't mean that means Glenn's going to be better than Brady. That's not what any of that means. But I feel like I can see it more with Aaron Glenn than I can with the other guys, which I'm having to project more of what I think they might be in that kind of position, whereas with Glenn, it seems obvious to me.
Over 500 votes since we posted this morning. Aaron Glenn getting 44.4%. Again, this is if Ben Johnson's off the table. Yeah. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying if that were the circumstance. Liam Cohen getting 36%, 14% going with Brady, 5.5% going with Saleh right now. Wanted to update yesterday's as well because it was a pretty close vote. We got 750-plus votes on this one. At the Jaguars selection with the 5th pick came down to this quartet of players. Which one would you prefer? Alphabetically, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Will Johnson, and Tet McMillan. And it was Johnson holding off Graham. Got it. 1/3 of the votes, 33.3%, 30.4% for Graham, and 22.8% went with Carter. 13.5% went with McMillan, who came up from the single digits. And as the day went on, made a nice little move. But it was a clear choice between one of the Michigan guys. Let's put it that way, Mason Graham or Will Johnson. I will say this. I doing my mocks, and I've been continuing to tinker with that and for our next mock draft Wednesday, because there are other platforms out there that we want to incorporate. And, so we're not just going off the same software that's ranking players a certain way, which means players are going to be available at a certain range every single time. But when I go with like a Will Johnson, I don't like what I end up with as much as when I go big with that first pick. Sure. At least that's been my unscientific opinion that I've gathered amongst my own free time. All right, we are done today. Thanks to Hayes Carline and Brian Sexton for stopping by and talking Jaguar football with us. Time to talk a little bit more with Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
LB, what's the best Zach Brown song to play a guest in with?
Depends on who the guest is, but I would say the most popular, their first number one was Chicken Fried.
Chicken Fried.
That's the song that put them on the map.
I don't think of Brian Sexton as being very chicken fried, but Dylan asked him,
My favorite is Free. Just Free. That's the name of the song.
Okay, let Mr. Denmark know, because Dylan asked Brian, what's your band? So we'll have some walk-up music. Band. And then he ended up playing Shoop instead, because he couldn't find a good in his.
I was listening to him struggle in there. Like he pulled up a couple. He's like, no. All right.
Yeah, we had 2 songs like, no, this ain't working. This is not a hype song for Brian Sexton to come to.
Okay.
And I already had it plugged in the system, so.
I know.
Oh,
that dang system. I remember being a producer, that system. By the way, I have to formally apologize to the two of you. Last time I checked in with you on Monday, I was wearing that beanie from Super Bowl 53. That was not Phoenix.
I didn't think so.
And I literally was like, you're looking at it. What year does it say?
Hey, mister.
And it was not the Phoenix Super Bowl, and I should have realized that it was the Super Bowl that the Jaguars were almost in.
Minnesota.
So it was 2017. It was the Super Bowl. Yeah, I cried when the Jags lost to the Patriots that day because I knew our wonderful boss, Steve Griffin, was going to send all of us to Minnesota in the middle of the winter for the Super Bowl, and the Jags spoiled that opportunity. So
You're
it was
lucky
from that
you
Super
didn't
Bowl.
go because the Radio Row in the food court of the mall, the Mall of America.
Yeah.
But like everything was crammed into the food court. It was weird. It was just weird.
That is
Let's
weird.
put it that way. But we did throw in the snowbank. We put hashtag DTWD.
I love that.
When we got there, our first day, and it stayed there the whole week. You know, 'cause
Really? It didn't snow again, I guess.
it may have, but it was there. I remember for multiple days.
Oh, yeah. Very impressive.
It was very cold, but I don't think it was like when we went to New York for the Super Bowl. It was cold. It snowed the Monday when we left.
Yeah,
like that's when the snow came. You know, we didn't get snow all week, and we're ready for it. But
Looks like we're going to be watching some games in the snow this weekend.
Which one? Buffalo?
Philadelphia, certainly it could snow there. Buffalo, Kansas City, frigid temperatures are projected. I don't know about the precipitation. I'm not a meteorologist. I just play one on radio.
Yeah, there's still rumors that somebody had the body parts amputated after going to that KC game last year in the playoffs.
Right,
That was
yeah.
so cold.
Don't go if that's the case. By the way, I went last night to the Florida Forum, the speaker series that they have. Deepak Chopra was the speaker. Shad Khan was the moderator. Then immediately after, Shad Khan left and did the interview with Liam Cohen. So we know the timeline as far as why that interview was so late last night.
Okay. No hints from Shad one way or the other. And
Shockingly, he didn't get to football last
He didn't?
night.
No.
Shockingly. And no, I was honestly prepared for at least one person to yell something, whether it was Duval or Fire Balky, right? And none of that happened. So that was good. It was a highbrow crowd.
We're Duval, man. Be Duval. It's
And like I said, he never got to football, so there was never that opportunity.
All right, what do you have coming up today?
Well, we will continue to, like y'all, cover the latest when it comes to the Jaguars head coaching search. I thought Hayes had a really interesting tidbit that he brought up. Frank yesterday, I thought, also had some interesting information on his show, so we'll continue to do that. And we're also going to chat with Malik Zaire, former Notre Dame Irishman, who is, of course, going to talk to us about Notre Dame being in the national championship on Monday night against Ohio State.
I'm pretty sure I'm rooting for Notre Dame.
You're pretty sure?
Yeah, well, you know, I
can pepper you with questions to see which way you're really leaning.
Well, Herb Street just is so freaking annoying. I mean, honestly.
So Herbie's the problem for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not the fact that Ohio State spent I don't know, somewhere between $10 and $20 million on their players in order to get to this point. Not the fact that they lost to Michigan and
You
shouldn't
think a
even be
Yankee
here.
fan is going to look down on somebody for spending money to get players? If that's the rules, go exploit them.
The fact that Ohio State fans wanted Ryan Day fired before the season.
I may now root for Ohio State after that.
I need to leave then.
All right.
I'm not doing a good job.
You're not. But you will on Helmets and Heels. Have a great
Thank
show.
you so much.
All right. Lauren Brooks out the door. Tommy Mack in tomorrow, Tony. Again, thanks to Hayes Carline and Brian Sexton for swinging by. For Dylan Denmark and Mr. Anthony Smith, I'm Mike Dempsey. We'll be back again tomorrow from 10 to noon with more on your Jaguars. And good luck, Todd Monken, in his interview today, and Brian Flores tomorrow. At least those are the ones seemingly next on the horizon for the Jags. We'll talk to you tomorrow on 1010XL 92.5 FM.